Hi, I'm Reilly Ernst, the podcast coordinator for Crave the Sound. On this week's episode of Crave the Podcast, Kylie Ketchner hops on a Zoom call with 5 members of the up-and-coming hip-hop group See You Soon. They talk about how the group came to be, the Florida music scene, how the group collaborates and manages their various sounds, and more. Enjoy!
All right, so you're listening to Crave the Sound, the podcast. My name is Kylie Ketchner. I'm the head editor here, and I am here with now 5 members of the Florida collective See You Soon. They just released their debut album, VIDÉ, which had 14 tracks on it. Today we got Josh, Iggy, Mitch, Luke, and Drex. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
What up?
Hey.
What up? What up?
Hey there. How goes it?
How goes it?
Awesome. Well, we're gonna get started. I'm gonna direct this first question to you, Josh. I want you to give us, all the listeners, a little rundown on how See You Soon came together. And maybe while you're doing that, if you could talk a little bit more about the Florida music scene, the scene that you guys are coming out of, and everything that went into See You Soon becoming the collective that's become.
Words. Well, See You Soon actually started maybe I think it was 2 years ago. It was after I met my guy Ignacio right there in the corner right there. We just ended up kind of just hitting it off. As soon as I met him, I went to the studio where he's the head engineer at. After maybe a few days or maybe a week or so, he introduced me to Kenny, who's another member of the group, who's one of the producers. And then I think maybe a couple days or something later, I was introduced to Madi. And from there, I kind of just tossed it out. I was like, yo, man, we'll just start a group, bro. Like, hey, bro, we fly. And then everybody was like, oh, shit, where is this? So initially, it was 4 of us. It was myself, Iggy, Kenny, and Madi. And it ended up expanding maybe a couple months later. Iggs came to me. He was like, yo, bro, how do you feel about, maybe kind of reaching out to, some people? Because I feel like if we grew the group, it would, be crazy. And I was like, sure, bro. Who would you have in mind? And he named off Lucas. And that's my guy for since I was 16 years old. So I've been my boyfriend since life. Mitch, who's in here, my little bro Dre, and Drex, and Denny, another producer. And I was like, shit, bro, that's the vibe. So then from there, bro, we ended up coming together. I said, bro, I'm sorry. From there, we
Hey, go for it.
Right, we ended up coming together and we started making the first records for VDay. And it was kind of tight, man, because the whole idea, I know that as far as the name goes, Iggs had this idea of kind of making a collective like this before I even met him. A few Florida creatives or Orlando creatives specifically from where we're at, and putting it together and calling it See You Soon, just kind of basically saying look, we have our own individual thing going on, but once it's time to lock in with this group thing, we're almost kind of telling that side of our artistry, we'll see you soon. Right now, we're about to focus and hone in on this group situation right here to really kind of advance everybody individually as well as a unit. So that was I know that from what he told me, as far as the name goes, and it kind of just worked out like that. Kind of just super organically, you know what I'm saying? Super fucking organically.
Right. So how about going a little bit more into the Florida music scene? Because I personally, being in Colorado, it's one of those music scenes that's very consolidated here. So you have a lot of talented people up and coming, but then at some point they have to hit a point where they go somewhere else. And I'm curious what the Florida music scene looks like, and kind of where I know that this whole project, this whole group was born of a bunch of collaboration and people just kind of coming in and joining the group and meshing. And is that how it always is down there in Florida? Is that kind of a specific little, niche that you guys hit, or what does that music scene look like for you guys?
It's probably a mixture of both. There's a lot of groups, not a lot of groups, but it's definitely a thing that is, there are different collectives that are coming out of Florida that we've seen coming out of Florida. So I guess what separates, I don't want to say separate us, but what kind of makes this thing unique is, I guess, our palette, or what we do musically, specifically production wise and or lyrically. But for the most part, Florida's a very it's tight. I think it's very versatile. Florida as a whole, not just specifically Orlando, but Florida as a whole. I think there's different like pockets of artists that are coming out that are like making all different types of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's like obviously the more like Danny Towers or XXX Tentacion centric kind of vibe, or you can even flip it to like, even my guy can throw my guy Drex in there, who Drex is super like heavy out here and he's lo-fi, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really like, it's dope, you know what I mean? It's a real hotbed of like different kind of shit that I think when we all came together, we each had, inspirations from each kind of, sound out here, and we just kind of brought it together and made that bitch pop.
Awesome. All right, so my next question is for you, Iggy. I kind of wanted you to touch more on the actual process of making VDay. I watched your guys' docuseries recently. I saw how you said, one of the things that drives the group is that you guys are each other's greatest supporters and your greatest rivals. And I want to know kind of how that paradoxical dynamic worked when creating VDay and what goes into such a collaborative process with so many different people.
Yeah. I mean, I think from like a top-down view, usually what happens is that like either Kenny, Denny, or myself will come up with like, the framework or like the skeleton for like a production, and we just sort of round robin it, just kind of send it around until it's like something that we feel like we can send to the vocalists, and we drop it in group chat and people start writing to it. As far as like the like psychological component, I know that Kenny and I like do a really good job of like balancing each other out as far as like our attributes, like personally and also like artistically. Kenny is very like, he has a great sense for like structure and melody, and I feel like I have a really good sense for like creating a lot of like chaos and like interesting moments and a lot of like, forward thinking like percussion and rhythm and stuff like that. And Denny is just sort of like floating about between the two. And I think a lot of the vocalists are like that too, where like some of them are more melodic, some of them are really great at like penning lyrics, but at the end of the day, everything just sort of returns back to center and is what it's supposed to be,
Right. So you find that it's kind of like a pendulum swing balancing act between all those different sort of vibes.
Yeah, totally.
Do you ever diving into kind of the rival and the support side, is it like a competitive thing sometimes, or is it more that because you guys all are individual artists and you're saying see you soon to this kind of individual focus when you come in, is it kind of a competitiveness to drive the group to be better that you find motivates you guys?
Yeah, I think I think the best example for that is like writing things and then telling each other that it could be better. I think that is like, that's like a part of the process that we've had to sort of like, it's a little uncomfortable at first, I think, like no matter what kind of collaborative environment you're in, when you're telling someone like, oh, like, I feel like this could be better, or I feel like this thing about what you just did could be better. So I think for us, it's just been like creating the type of environment where like that, like telling someone that it could be better is like a good thing always, just because we know that like any time that we've ever like sat down and done that and been like, okay, like this one verse or like this hook could be better, or like we should do this beat over or do this section over, like it's never ended up worse. It's like always made the end product better. And I think once like, I think by the third or fourth time, fifth time that like that ended up happening, we were like, okay, cool. Like clearly this just needs to be like a thing where we're just comfortable telling each other like, all right, we could do this better. And at the end of the day, like it just brings us a lot closer together, I think, because everybody feels invested in like helping, like trying to fix whatever we think could be better. So I think ultimately it's like, it's just a really good like team building exercise ultimately,
Right. And I want to throw that out also, this next question, to anybody who wants to answer as well. But do you feel like working with See You Soon has pushed your own personal, or obviously it has, how do you feel that working with See You Soon has pushed your own personal artistic growth?
Yeah, I'll answer. I feel like kind of piggybacking off of what Iggy was saying, like how, you know, we'll kind of go in like, yo, maybe this could be better, that could be better, whether it's like a verse or, you know, a certain section of a beat or even a whole song at a point. You know, that kind of like makes you sit back and like look at yourself like, damn, okay, well, you know, you're always trying to like better yourself, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that ties in with like, you know, our solo songs and stuff like that. Like, you know, we're always kind of just like kind of defeating those, you know, those parts of ourselves where it's like, well, you know, we can progress on that part. We can, you know, just be better.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So my next question actually was for Luke, so that works out well. With the See You Soon sound, it's, Iggy, you already mentioned this, but this kind of like controlled chaos sound.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what some of the challenges, because I don't hear a lot of music, if any. I can't pin anything that I've heard that's like what you guys produce. And I would imagine that that's a pretty challenging pocket to find with your artistic, you know, endeavors. What are some of those challenges working with this kind of unique sound, and what would you say are some of the rewards?
Well, I think, you know, you kind of hit it on the head with saying like, you know, a lot of our sound is like this controlled chaos, you know, so it is sometimes, or not even sometimes, it is most of the time like a challenge to try to find something that'll sit in that pocket but also be dope at the same time, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I think the artists in this, you know, at least the vocalists in this group are like, we've been just blessed to be able to like work so hard and be rewarded with like finding what works within these pockets, you know what I mean?
Or
And yeah, we just, you know, we really like take our time with trying to craft like, you know, the best verses that we can, you know, and we really pay attention to like, you know, trying to let the music speak for itself, but also like find our way into it at the same time, if that makes sense. So, and we just crack at it until we find it, you know. It's really just like, you know, throwing paint at the wall and see what sticks. And if it doesn't, then we just go back to the drawing board every time. We do that every time. So that's how it works. And that's the most rewarding thing, when you find something that actually works and feels good.
So for anyone who would want to jump in here, because this is kind of the general question for the whole group, but who would be some of the inspirations you've had for your sound? I'm curious. It's such a unique sound, and I don't hear it in a lot of hip hop, especially, and things like that. What do you find is who are the people that you were modeling your sound off of, and how have you kind of gotten there from their inspiration?
Jeez, that's a mixed bag. It's
a mixed bag, for real.
A whole toy chest. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, production wise, there's like 3 producers, and I always kind of pin like the 3, like between Iggy, Kenny, and Denny. Like it's 3 of them like that. I feel like they kind of resemble and model like their style after where I hear it. So like for Iggs, it's like very Hudson Mohawk. For Kenny, very Flying Lotus. And as far as Denny goes, it's very like, it's like a mixture between a Dilla Madlib or a Knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So like so for the sound bed, for like the production, I feel like that is the heaviest inspirations. As far as the lyrics go, man, like that's it's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, cause we each individually have our own favorite artists, you know, that we listen to and that we love, right? So like, it's quite a few. You know what I mean? I don't even know where to start. I don't know if anybody wanna, you know what I'm saying, chime in, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I guess if I were to speak like individually for myself, like when I get on the record, boom, who I'm influenced by, as far as like when I want to write my rhymes, it's heavy Black Thought, it's heavy Hove, you know what I'm saying, or trying to model my pockets after these artists specifically. When I want to get into a more melodic vibe or mood, like I'll listen to a lot of shit, bro. Bon Iver, Justin Vernon. I know Lucas could say the same, especially with his songwriting as well. I fuck with Drake. Drake's melodies are intense. Shit like that, you know what I mean? Me personally, because like it's different for everybody. You know, it's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know what to say right there, man. I mean, I know, like just being like a super big group, like Wu-Tang gets like thrown around a lot because, you know what I'm saying, they were just like a high energy group.
They're just such a good they're such a good like blueprint act, I think, for like any group ever. It's like if you're trying to do a group that like does rap music, like you can't go wrong. Yeah.
That's it.
So, you know, I mean,
that's it right there.
That's definitely an energy right there that I myself look at and I'm like, yeah, man, that's fly right there. You know what I'm saying? We're a large group. Like that's a good bar to set right there.
Word. 100%.
Well, good answer to a complicated question. This next question was for you, Mitch. I wanted to dive a little bit more into the See You Soon brand because you guys have a really unique kind of color scheme and consistent brand throughout your videos, your merch, your music, all that. I know I'd read something about how you guys describe VDay, saying that, you know, there's 3 primary colors and you guys feel like that is mirrored in a lot of music, and that you are trying to kind of incorporate more of those colors, more of those emotions and stuff. And that all feels very consistent throughout your brand. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about how that brand came about, how much of it was purposeful, how much of it was kind of a byproduct of the group chemistry, and just all your thoughts on that sphere of your group work. Great question.
So I would say, first of all, I don't think anything was planned to this day, like ever. I mean, I guess us saying we want to do an album, you know what I'm saying? That was probably the most planned thing about it. So I put myself like, I give a lot of credit to the producers, man. Like it all comes back to them because when they send those beats, man, that's like the, like, you know what I'm saying? That's like the horizon right there. Like you just see, like, it's like endless, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like Josh does his verse, he puts his little piece in it, and I'll do my verse, I'll put my little piece on it. So it just kind of becomes this thing. And I mean, I think it can only happen with, like, you know what I'm saying, a group of creatives who kind of come into this thing and like give each other like free reign to just make the group better. You know what I mean? I mean the sound. If we do have a sound, I mean, I'm happy to hear that you think that because we're just making what the fuck we want to make. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, that's the best way I can answer that.
Right. All right. Drex, I'll shoot you a question here.
I didn't do it.
You definitely.
All right, I'll ask
did
a different one then. I wanted to hear a little bit about the live performance aspect for y'all, because you released VDay in the middle of this pandemic when you can't perform. Is there less of an aspect of connection through the music for that you guys have struggled with? How is that kind of affecting the psychology behind what you're creating now that you can't really, like, you can't put the music into physical performance spaces? You know, how much of an impact has that had on your guys' release with this project and kind of your creative process?
Creatively, I don't think it's really impacted us much, but I will say it's impacted us a lot because, like, that's all we want to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's all of us think about is, like, tearing down a stage. Like, I think it'll just make a lot more sense for people once we touch a stage. Like, I think the whole picture will be like, oh shit, like, I think a lot more will come together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's more just like a passion thing and less of like a creative thing. From not a creative thing, but less of like, when you ask how has it affected us creatively, the fact that we can't perform, I don't think has, if anything, it's probably made us make more music because we're not performing, right? So, yeah. But I mean, from a creative standpoint, I know I mean, everyone from Iggy has so many ideas for what we're going to do live. Like
Yeah.
all of us know individually what we want to do live. And like, I mean, not to dive into it too much, but we have a fuck ton of ideas for what our live show is going to look like. And
Right.
yeah, we're just waiting for the opportunity to show people.
Uh-huh. Did you guys have the opportunity to perform before in the earlier days of See You Soon, before you released VDay?
Nah, because we had no music out, so we've kind of just like been waiting to kind of just roll it out properly and make sure like the most amount of people possible could hear this piece of work. Like it's very rare, I think, like your first piece of work is like what you consider like almost like greatness. Like I look at VDay as like a fucking masterpiece personally. I not to be like arrogant about it or anything, but like I just think it's like a great piece of art that we're all gonna look back on 10 years later and be like, damn, that was a good ass album. So like in order to like let that get the light it deserves, I think like it's gotta have a live show and it's gotta have all this it's got to be done right, you know. And I think a lot of that's because when it's not like our first piece as like individual artists, right? It's our first piece as a group, but it's what we've all been working towards for years and years of our lives creatively. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But no, to answer your question, no, we haven't played any shows yet.
Right. Bummer. But you guys you have to come through Colorado when you do.
For sure.
Definitely.
Listen, what? That's the spot, man. I love Colorado.
Yeah, Boulder specifically. Come through Boulder.
No doubt.
All right, so Iggy, I want to hear a little bit on your side, especially with the producer element of collaborations outside the group. If you see the need to do that, if that's something that you guys are open to, or if you have, because I know that kind of a lot of people have joined the group through proxy of collaboration. If you guys have had collaborations with people that aren't in the group and kind of what that process looks like merging those sounds together, or what that's looking for in the future for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on just like what the situation is. I know presently like a big thing that we're trying to do as a group is try to get into more songwriting situations. Like we want to take everything that we've learned kind of in this bubble and like apply it to something a little bit out of our comfort zone. I think it's something that we're excited to do. Kenny and I are constantly producing stuff. I have like a big client base of people that like I work for out of the studio. So it's like, it's very situational. I think for the vocalists, it's probably the same degree of how situational it is. You know, it's a lot of the times just like friendly collaborations with homies, like people hitting us up through what we've done as See You Soon. You know, it kind of all depends. And I think like we all put on like different hats for whatever different kind of situation we're in, you know?
Right. Yeah. So I know we kind of already touched on this, and I'll shoot this one to Luke. We already touched on the live performance aspect, but I want to hear from an artistic standpoint how these past couple months of kind of really intense social and political unrest, as well as the pandemic, have impacted your creative process and kind of what you write about. If it's gotten into your head with songwriting sort of things, or if you feel like what you're doing with music is more important now because of kind of the implications behind a lot of things, or you know, how has that impacted your creative process?
That's a very, very good question. It's definitely made me more conscious of what I'm writing about, you know, in this time that we're in. But at the same time, like, it's really easy to let outside things like affect you in a negative way, especially when you're an artist, you know, because you really, you know, you deal with energy in a different way, you know what I mean? So, you know, I think we're all just trying to be as positive as we can. You know, that's really like all we've been doing, like just trying to be like, you know, just trying to appreciate life, you know, like, especially now because there's just so much shit going on that, like, you know, it's just easier to have a bad day, you know what I'm saying, just because of shit that's going on. But, you know, I could say for me, I just try not to let it affect me in that way, because, you know, it could cause me to, you know, or anybody to just, you know, block your creativity. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just try to channel it in that way, like, you know, just trying to like take that energy and just make a positive out of it, you know, because we're all going through this shit together. You know what I mean? So only way we're gonna get out of it is together. So you just gotta just stay positive, you know.
Sure. So Mitch, I want to hear from you on how you feel that See You Soon has kind of changed the musical game and the genre that you're working with directly, because it's such a kind of new and unique sound, and something that I think is really exciting from an artistic point of view. Do you find that kind of has bled over into your collaborations with other people, or what do you think that See You Soon brings to the table in this genre that can kind of enhance the game going forward?
Man, you got them questions, man.
For real.
Yeah. Hey, look. For me, so in a nutshell, what do I think See You Soon can bring to the game right now? Just in music in general. I think, man, when you look at like collectives that aren't necessarily a group, like TDE, or I'll even say Young Money, just, you know what I'm saying, so you just get the picture. But like things like that, man, when you have when you have a group of people who make dope music together, and we all have so much potential individually as well, I think we can literally like look at the charts one day. I know we talked about it, and it'd be like Joshua has a song #1, and then See You Soon has a song #2, and then Drex will have a song at #3, and Madi will have another song. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be like, and it'll just be nuts. I really think that we'll be like the biggest group ever. You know what I mean? And I think we're not really too concerned with I guess changing it, man. But if that comes with it, then that's cool. You know what I'm saying? We just want to just continue doing what we're doing. It's just powers, man. The group is just full of powers, man. I don't know. Anyone else? Please.
Nah, that's fire, bro. I don't even, you got it right there.
All right, so winding down here at the end, this is a question for everybody. So a couple people want to jump in here. I want to know what growth you've personally experienced for being in See You Soon, being such a collaborative environment. Like I know, Iggy, you touched on being able to take criticism positively and growth, but in what ways has being in this group, both artistically and personally, changed you? Whoever wants to start off.
I mean, for me, it's funny, like, I don't know, you know, when the group first started, like Drex and I were both like homeless. Like we slept at the studio where I work, you know? And like for us, it just became like this kind of like outlet project where it felt like we were just sort of like fighting for our lives, like on this album. Like there's just like this like hunger that's like very palpable, you know?
Yeah.
And for me personally, it was kind of a thing of like, this is like my last chance to like really be able to do something that I am 100% in love with, or just like rethink everything about what I'm doing in music. Unfortunately, like after putting that album together, like everything fell into place in such a wonderful way where like all of my hopes were sort of like justified. All of my hopes were like, it came true in a way, you know? And it kind of like revitalized me in a way. It put me in a better place, like mentally, to like work on a second album that like we're now more excited about than the first, you know, like that kind of a thing. So yeah, that's kind of what it was for me.
That's to piggyback off of Eggs. It's kind of the same situation for me too. Like revitalization is probably the best word, because personally, I mean, I was coming back to Orlando on some like, man, look, man, I just got out of school, man. I don't really know what I'm about to do. but I know it's this. I know it's something like this, you know. And I was blessed to meet Iggy like the second day I moved back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, like the second day after like I moved back home. You feel me? And I was like, oh snap, you know. And then from there, everything kind of just fell into place. And I think for me artistically, it's definitely being around everybody, and just, you know, working on these songs. It's pushed my pen in a positive way. It's like made me kind of like, ah man, like that shit is hard what I did, but yo man, I like what Drex did right here. You know what I'm saying? Or, I like that. Yo, let me. I feel like I can probably attack it differently, you know, or really just try to like, you know, just like really just hone in and like really fucking just make the shit go, you know, creatively for me, like. Whether it's like figuring out melodies, so I'll check Lucas, like, yo, bro, like, what's a good harmony right here? Or Madi, you know what I'm saying? Boom. Or like, I'll go to Eggs, like, yo, how you feel about this verse right here? Do you think I could, you know, how should I attack this right here? This beat, like this pocket right here. Like, what's your idea for it? Like, okay, I think I'm thinking this way too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like science in my head now. You know, it's always been that way, but it's way more like, you know, just scientific, man. Like, there's a lack for a better term or something, you know. It's really, really, really just like pushing, you know what I mean, to make sure that the best product is created and at the end of the day we're all satisfied, you know, as a collective, you know. So straight up.
Totally. Anybody else want to jump in on that one? Cool. All right.
Everybody was just like, yep.
Y'all pretty much said it all.
Summed it up.
Said it best, yeah.
Hey, no doubt.
All right. Well, my last question isn't much of a question other than it's plug time. What's next for See You Soon? If you want to plug your socials or anything like that.
Yo, Fever, January 8th.
Mm-hmm. We got a new record coming out January 8th.
Okay, word.
And we got a we got a little project coming out too at the top of the year, but we're not gonna really like spill the beans on who it's with.
Right. Shush. Okay. Thank you for listening to Crave the Sound podcast. This has been an interview with Josh, Iggy, Mitch, Luke, and Drex of See You Soon. Thank you guys so much for taking the time today to talk to me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
for having us.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yo, is it cold out there right now?
Oh, it's freezing. It's
That's sick.
Yo, you had great questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, for real, you did.
Well, keep an eye out for their new projects. Thank you guys so much for being with me today.
Thank you for listening to Crave the Podcast. Crave the Podcast is produced by myself, Jake Trujillo, Zac Clement, and Kalyan Lemercier. Make sure to follow Crave the Sound on Instagram and subscribe wherever you like to listen. You can also check out our YouTube channel for weekly episodes. See you next week!